Okay, so this time our topic, of course, is e-democracy. No? So the Philippines has a representative democracy model, no, on the United States system. No? So the 1987 Constitution adopted during the Aquino administration re-established, no, presidential system of government with a bicameral legislature and an independent judiciary. So the president is limited to 1 6-year term. No? So the e-democracy, no, a combination of words electronic and democracy, also known as digital democracy or internet democracy. And this is the use of information and communication technology in political and government processes. So the term is believed to have been coined by the digital activist Stephen Cliff. No? So this law, no, defines the Philippine government policies on electronic transaction and provide the legal framework for enabling the country to engage in e-commerce. It also mandates of governments online by June 2022. So to discuss with us the detail, let us all welcome our presenter. Go ahead, ma'am.
Ma'am Lilis, parang hindi ko nakikita. Ako naman yun. Ayan. Okay na po.
Yes, go ahead. Baka next slide mo na, Ma'am Eunice.
Parang hindi ko nakikita. Lakas po ba?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Malakas po ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Okay, thank you. Makita. Okay. E-democracy. Next slide, please. Yes. Any application of e-technology that enables or enhance the interaction between government and its stakeholders with the goal of raising engagement and participation in democratic process. Next, please. Any application of e-technology that enables or enhance the interaction between government and its stakeholders with the goal of raising engagement and participation in a democratic processes. Next po. The goal of e-democracy is to strengthen the integration of citizens in the political debate. The digitization of participation is aimed at increasing the transparency and legitimacy of our political system through democracy. Next. The principles of e-democracy. The goal of the democracy is to promote democracy institutions and the democratic process by utilizing the opportunities provided by ICTs. So, all stakeholders must take a concerted effort to introduce and promote e-democracy in order for people to be able to participate more fully in a democratic institution and the democratic processes. Next, please. E-democracy is not just about technology. Democracy is at its core. So therefore, the principles of democratic governance and practices should serve as the foundation and guide the evolution of a democracy through the use of advanced technology. Next, please. Challenges and concern associated with e-democracy includes but not limited to digital gap and e-discrimination. This must be managed and addressed in part by political will, sizable investment, sound risk management, and risk management strategies, continuing monitoring and improvement methods. Next, please. E-democracy assumes that there is a fundamental democratic environment, including free, transparent election, and that everyone is able to exercise their human rights, particularly the right for freedom of expression, unrestricted and secured access to the internet, and the protection of their personal information and privacy. People won't just trust government or those e-democracy until they have faith that the data and information they provide during e-democracy processes isn't being saved or utilized for anything else used much along against them. Next, please. The waning interest in politics and the democratic process may be revived with the aid of e-democracy. So it is a chance to revive representative democracy and go over its fundamental ideas. Next, please. Democracy is not a new thing. It is addition to supplement and to link to the established democratic procedures. Like what Sir said, meron na po tayong mga e-governance, mga e-services provided by the government. Next, please. People have greater idea and chance to engage more actively in all phases of democracy thanks to democracy. This, however, assumes that its structures takes in consideration demands like accessibility, usability, and exclusivity. People must also have faith that inputs they make structures have being when decisions are takes into account when decisions are being made. So yung mga input po nila dapat siguro the government must takes into consideration their inputs. Hindi basta babasahin lang ng government and they will not act on it. Next, please. From the grassroots, e-democracy opens up new possibilities for civic projects. Authorities in the public sector and foreign organizations should support them specifically and encourage them to participate in this positive example of democracy. Next, please. The creation of e-democracy must involve everyone, institutions, interest groups, and individuals from the beginning in order to reduce the possibility of social fragmentation. Next, please. The e-democracy has its advantages. One is next po, convenience. Next po. Convenience, citizens can access to next po. Can access to democratic processes from anywhere, anytime. Dapat ganun. Thank you, Ma'am Eunice. Pasensya na. Second po ay it is immediate. It is immediate. So, dissemination of informations or citizen consultations can be done very fast and more often. So, electronic, next po ng next lang. Yan. Electronic technologies make communication better and faster. It will take very less time for any policy or scheme to reach to the people. The internet, cell phones, and mobile communications have these capabilities. Next po. The disadvantage, there is so kung merong may advantage, meron din pong disadvantage. One is the electoral fraud or malpractices. So, democracy process is more susceptible to corruption or hacking when it is under inspection and supervision. So, next po. So, next is the virtual democracy. E-democracy could transform democratic process into a series of this press button decision making as opposed to a shared experience centered on society as a whole. So it's just one click away in a virtual democracy. The danger here is that it could reduce democratic citizenship to a series of consumer decisions. So medyo limited ang ano ng mga peoples to sa e-democracy when it comes to decision making din minsan. Next please. Digital divide. The use of e-democracy would result in a pattern of inequality based on the information rich and information poor as access to the technology and saan ba ako? To disseminate yun. To technology. This information or info poor, the term info rich is have access to information and information technology equipment such as TV and radio channels, books, newspaper and journals, and of course computer and World Wide Web. While the information poor tends to not to have access to the web and probably find out difficult to access relevant books, journals, even in general conversation or discussions about television programs shown on satellite TV will be posed on people. The information pool may lack the skill or knowledge to information access. Sometimes financial constraints din po. Next please. The virtual democracy would transform democratic procedure into a series of baliktad na pala. Digital divide pala. Saan na ba ako na mali? Anti-democratic forces yon. Political extremism or racial discrimination or religious hate organization may take advantage of new technology and to disseminate their own messages. Next po. Echo chamber, a diverse political landscape has already emerged as a result of social media, tailored features since individuals are no more exposed to according viewpoints. The use of e-democracy would result in a pattern of inequality based on the information rich and the information poor, as access to knowledge and knowledge is not uniform. Next po. Ay, ba't nandyan na agad? Mali ata yung nagbigay ko, kaya pala hindi tayo. Meron pa po yan, sorry. Mali ata yung na-send ko sa inyo, Man Eunice. Hala. Principles of democracy. So, the principles of democracy, the goal of democracy is to promote democracy, democratic institutions, and the democratic by utilizing opportunities provided by ICTs. All stakeholders must have a concerted effort to introduce and promote a democracy in order for people to be able to participate more fully in democratic institutions and the democratic processes. Number 2, e-democracy is not just about technology. Democracy is not at its core. Therefore, the principle of democratic governance and practices should serve as the foundation for a guide the evolution of democracy through the use of advanced technology. Third principle of democracy is the challenges and concerns associated with e-democracy includes but not limited to the digital gap and e-discrimination. This must be managed and addressed in part by political will, sizable investments, sound risk assessment, risk management strategies, and continuing monitoring improvement. E-democracy assumes that there is a fundamentally democratic environment, including free and transparent elections, and that everyone is able to exercise their human rights, particularly their right to freedom of expression, to unrestricted and secure access to the internet, and to the protection of their personal information and privacy. People won't trust e-democracy until they have faith that the data information they provided during e-democracy processes isn't being saved or utilized for anything else much alone against them. Next, the principle of e-democracy is the waning interest in politics and the democratic process may be revived within the aid of e-democracy. It is a chance to revive representative democracy and go over its foundational ideas. Next, e-democracy is not a new thing. It is an addition to, a supplement to, and a link to the established democratic procedure. It is a means of expanding the public's choice for participating in the democratic process. Without a doubt, ICT have several advantages over conventional participatory procedure and can be used to implement them more successfully. The next principle is the people have greater chance to engage more actively in all phases of democracy thanks to e-democracy. This is, however, assumes that its structure takes into consideration demands like accessibility, usability, and inclusivity. People must also have faith that the inputs they make to e-democracy processes are taken into account when decisions are being made. Next is, from the grassroots up, e-democracy opens up new possibilities for civic projects. Authorities in the public sector or in organizations should support them specifically and encourage them to participate in this positive example of e-democracy. The creation of e-democracy must involve everyone, institutions, interest groups, and individuals from the beginning in order to reduce the possibility of social fragmentation. Ito po, the risk. The digital divide is a perceived gap between those who have and do not have access to information tools. Citizens that do not have access to new technologies could be excluded to the process. The transparency information becomes electronic instead of tangible, making the process less transparent to observers and auditors. Special consideration needs to make this system as transparent as a traditional. So there is this also the security. Security, remote systems are more vulnerable to security issues than stand-alone ones. Strong security measures need to be considered to implement this system. Ito ako naririnig. Sir, naririnig mo pa ako? Ano ba to?
Opo, ma'am.
Diretso
Diretso lang po.